Good afternoon and welcome back today. My name is Jacob Rickwall,
I'm Mark Schisler.
and this is Racing Paradise. Hopefully, you guys had a great weekend. Um, and sorry we didn't go live yesterday. Kind of took a day break to relive what happened with this crazy weekend at Richmond Raceway. We'll get into it all here soon. But Mark, how's the week been going for you so far? And Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday, so one day at a
Yeah,
time, right?
it's been going good. I'm kind of glad we didn't do the podcast yesterday. I had a long work day. I seen your buddy Vince was messaging the page yesterday asking if we were going live. I said maybe. Kind of at work still. Uh, but yeah, I didn't get home until 9 o'clock Central Time.
Wow,
I started work at 3:30 in the morning, so I had a good 17-hour day, and I was tired.
that's good money for you though. But
Yeah,
also not only the work that you did yesterday, but I don't think we could have been able to talk on live about how the race went because everybody was still their bar was up here. And for us to do the podcast, our bar needed to be back down where we're supposed to be at. So that's also the sake why, we waited till today to do the podcast. We
yeah,
needed to figure some things out. And we were hoping that penalties were coming out. But unfortunately, the penalties are coming out tomorrow, Wednesday. So we're going to post those penalties and stuff like that, if there is any, on the podcast page on Facebook tomorrow at some point.
yeah. We'll see what the penalties are tomorrow, and we'll give our view on what we kind of expect to see. I don't. I'll get into it later. We'll go into our partners, and I'm gonna go start sharing this.
Sounds good. So, supporters of the podcast, we appreciate the supporters as well. I get to do this solo as Mark gets to go share our content there. So, Racing Radios is a great supporter of our podcast. Always have wore excuse me, a racing radio headset on there. Blonde's Lawn Care, great business to have. Great guy to work for, Evan Blonde. Loose on entry, Try Oval Life. Just lays down the business every day of history, facts of racing. And we can't thank everybody enough for supporting our podcast. All of our fans and everybody that supports us. We started this about 2 years ago. This is our second year doing the racing stuff, the racing information for all your fans out there with NASCAR and everything that we need to be a part of, right? So we appreciate everybody. We started this deal. My mom, his mom, my mom and his family, excuse me, actually just watched the videos and stuff. Now we're up to almost like 900 people. So we appreciate all the support that we can get. And hopefully we can keep getting it some more. So now I'd like to thank the amazing partners that make this podcast happen here at Racing Paradise. The first one is Camping World of Concord, North Carolina. They are great people. Been there to the place. Loved every single second of it. They just gave everything that they needed to give for us for podcasts. Every single time that we're going to do driver appearances there in Concord, North Carolina, we get a free generator use from Camping World of Concord, North Carolina, which is amazing deal. Saves us some money on everything that we might not have for podcasts that drive excuse me driver appearances that we're going to start doing. Next person we'd like to thank is Circle B Diecast for being a partner of Racing Paradise Podcast. They are an amazing diecast little spot there. You guys can get custom diecasts, you guys can get produced diecasts, everything like that. Circle B Diecast is your place to be. We appreciate them as well. Also, a lot of people here think, and I get long-winded on this, Victory Fuel is another great sponsor to have with us on the podcast. We appreciate them a whole lot for coming on board. Use our code What happened here? Sorry, guys. But use our code. It's RPP1, RPP1, for your percentage off of Victory Fuel. So make sure you guys get on that, get it while you can. Also, another great partner of our podcast is Cambria Tool. Cambria Tool is a great business, and it's in Hillsdale, Michigan, owned by Troy Balzer, and his son helps him out enough to get his name shout out here on our podcast, and that's Dominic Balzer. So thanks, Dom. Thanks, Troy, for everything that you do for us moving forward. Also, we'd like to thank Suspect Racing Network. Suspect Racing Network, every single time they go live on Xbox gaming platforms of Wreckfest, World of Outlaws, NASCAR Heat 5, and even down the road, they're going to go and do iRacing. So every single time we go live, their logo is going to be shown every single time Suspect Racing Network does any certain kind of live with their live gaming. And we appreciate them so much for coming on board for the 2024 season of the NASCAR podcast with us here at Racing Paradise. A lot of partners still to thank here. Skippy's does our polos. We kind of went casual tonight, so sorry, Skippy. We're not representing your polos tonight that you made up for us, but we're representing your brand here as the Skippy's little logo there down below. Also, Seriously Fast Motorsports, you can subscribe to Seriously Fast Motorsports for 99 cents a month. Yeah, that's right. 99 cents a month. Oh, man, I'm getting crazy. 99 cents a month, Mark. I mean, come on. Exclusive content NASCAR, and you guys can have a big say with Seriously Fast Motorsports. They share our content. We share theirs, and we're so thankful to have them. Also, I forgot to thank the Racing Warehouse for everything that they do there as well. If you haven't been in there, make sure to check it out. The Racing Warehouse. And forget my last partner here today, Cat's Coffee. When I wake up every single morning, gosh, what I have to have? I have to have some Cat's Coffee. You get that little cat scratch fever going on. Oh, just gotta rub it out a little bit, and Cat's Coffee gets it going. So just this, that's what gets me going every morning. And that's what helps me be Tricky Ricky at the end of the day. So Cat's Coffee, thanks for coming on board and supporting our podcast. So
And then shout out to John Sweatman. He does our tumblers and our new air fresheners that we're going to have. Let me get it out. We got the red one, and then there's a blue one. So
I also got this from John, our tumblers here, Racing Paradise tumblers. Great piece to have. Keeps my drinks cold, keeps my drinks warm throughout the day. So get with John, get with their business there with the air fresheners. And if you guys want some air fresheners, we're going to be start selling them here soon. So that's going to be really cool. And thanks for everybody, but thanks for everybody supporting our podcast and making this happen.
I still have one more.
I forgot. Sorry. A lot of people think.
Yeah, need any custom made die cast, go see Justin Ballier or Jared Hornbaker. Their links are at the top of the page.
So, yeah, a lot of people think, we thank everybody that allows us to share our podcasts to different podcast platforms there throughout the Facebook, the website, the whole Wi-Fi thing. But Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series has been off this past weekend. It's been off for the Olympic break. Now they finally get a stab, and they finally get to go and race at the Irish Hills, my home state, Mark, in Michigan. And a driver from Butler Motor Speedway is making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut in the 53. Morgan Baird is racing in the Xfinity Series there at Michigan International Speedway. What is it called? The Wabo Cabo 200 or something? 250? I can't remember. I listened to NASCAR radio this morning, the morning drive.
Isn't that the same one driver that was supposed to make his debut last year, but had the baby?
Yes. I thought it was this year. Maybe it was last year. Was it last year?
It was this year or last year. He was supposed to make a debut at some point.
It was at Richmond. He was supposed to race at Richmond, had the baby,
Yeah,
his son was born. I thought it was his son. His son was born.
something
Whatever,
like
his son or daughter. It was born, and he was gonna be there for his child and everything. So, uh, but yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so Xfinity Series, they always put on a good show at Michigan International Speedway. Hopefully, the race plays out like what they usually do. As I talked to you about before, so many exciting finishes that happen at Michigan International Speedway. William Byron and Denny Hamlin going at it at the line um, in recent years there. So different races that kind of play a big factor, and it's not playoff time yet. And that's the other thing that we think about is it's not playoff time yet. There's still people that can have that one spark, that one piece of energy, right? And they
yeah.
can shine into the horizon. I mean, we saw it this past weekend, and we'll get into that. Don't worry, we're gonna get into what happened on Sunday's
So
drive.
my thought right now, I mean, we all know what happened this weekend. So right now, 3 races left. There's 3 spots left. Are we gonna points race in, or are we gonna have 3 more winners?
You
I
know what?
mean, Michigan's a wild card. Daytona's a wild card, and then I mean you'll have. I mean, I can see Eric Jones squeaking his way in at the finale. He's good at Darlington.
Yeah, there's a lot of as you said, and that's great to hear that that there's still 3 races to like remain. And you don't know the unknown yet. Like what happened this weekend. There could be a set precedent that could happen next weekend, or something could happen like really bad. And I'm not saying that to be like, watch out, watch the TV, get your eyes glued. I'm just saying, basically, hey, it's gonna be something to see these next 3 weeks of the playoffs, and see who can make it. There's a lot of guys in the Xfinity Series that are itching to get into the hopes of the playoffs. Anthony Alfredo is one thing that comes to mind to me in the Xfinity Series. Has decent amount of runs at Michigan, has decent amount of runs at some of these tracks. He has the sponsors behind him, and hopefully maybe he can put those stats, put those resumes of, okay, I ran here, okay, I ran there. And I can make a difference in the race by knowing what the track does. What can I do as a driver? And I think that you're going to see teams kind of be more willing to give up, to give less, to give everything they got to make it in. Because playoffs are an important piece of racing. Once you don't make the playoffs, Mark, you see this in a driver. Yeah, we're not going to finish in the top 20 this weekend. We're not going to finish in the top 10 like we're supposed to. I think it's a dying thing. Like, you don't make the playoffs, you suck. You don't make the playoffs, your season's just toast. And I think that's wrong to say that, but I think that that's the thing. That's, to me, Mark, the new norm, excuse me. The new norm is, like, if you don't make the playoffs, you suck. Like, you're just awful. But you could be the best driver. It's just
Yeah.
the loops and bounds. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, I was reading some comments too, and John said he's going to be up there in the ARCA series at Michigan, and over to the Illinois State Fair for the dirt race.
Heck yeah, dude. Hey, just
So
remember, John, if the O3 touches you, Robin's racing. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this, for this weekend working for the ARCA team, and I'm excited to see you again, John, and hopefully that weekend goes good with you guys with 25, and hopefully us and the O3 can stay out of trouble, and have a clean finish. But yeah, excited for you, John. It's cool.
all right, well, let's get into the race. before we'll start at the beginning. I mean, stage one was 70 laps of here. Let's check out the tires and see how the primes go. And start of stage two, there's two drivers that tried the options. Or sorry, I'm not going to say prime or option. I'm going yellow and red
Okay.
because that's a better visual. I was
Mhm.
just watching Dale Jr. download and I totally agree with him. The name is stupid. You need more visual. You have your hard or your soft, your yellow and red, whatever. So we had two drivers go to the red tires while everyone else was on yellow. Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell. Now, Michael McDowell just got on the lead lap from the lucky dog position, so he's tail end. I believe Suarez started 12th.
Yeah, like middle of the pack, I think.
But boy, did those tires work out for him. He went zooming to the front, ended up with a 3.5 second lead. And his crew chief said, "Yo, hey, back it down. We don't know how these tires are going to go." So it ended up, he backed it down. I think before the pit cycles got in, I think it dropped him to like maybe a 1.25 second lead. So, I mean, Goodyear, mwah, perfect. The red tires were awesome. I mean, uh, 40 laps, 45 laps started equaling out. It was, this is what they needed to make this tire here. And I loved it. Michael McDowell went from the tail end of the lead lap to, I believe, before pit cycles got started, I think got up to 12th or 11th.
Yeah,
So
those well, for me, the yellow or the red or optional, whatever you want to call these
yeah.
tires, the tires are tires. Soft and you got hards. The regulars are not the regular tires. Whatever you want to call it, whatever boat that you can float them in, good for you. But I think that those optional tires for me, I'm gonna say this like the normal tires and optional tires for me. I think those optional tires, I thought they were like really good. They hooked the track great. And
Mm-hmm.
you said, mwah,
Yeah.
like these tires are great, like stuff like that. And I think that NASCAR's finally found the spot. And I said this before on a podcast, and I said, I hate that we're gonna go away from the standard tire that we've always run, And I said this to you, and I said, I'm gonna hate this optional tire. This thing is junk and this and this and this and this. And then now I can come over here and eat my own words and say the optional tire is actually kick ass and it's good for the sport. You know, and you saw, and I don't try not to get too far ahead of this podcast, but you saw a driver take the optional tires because they still had those tires available in the pit, later in the race, and that worked. That worked very well in the short run, but didn't end the way that it was supposed to end. Um, but I mean, those optional tires, they were good, but you didn't know how long you're gonna run with those tires on. Um, it's just like you're just a guessing game. Um, but I thought the first stage of the race though, it was like a chess match, right? You know, we had to figure out, okay, how's the tires doing? What's the track? How's the track? We got to get into this. We can't just full, we can't just go full sprint, go loose cannon on the whole field just yet. We got to figure out what we're doing, how the car's feeling. Do we need to make a change? Do we need to do this? Do we need to tighten the car up? Do we need to loosen it up? Stuff like that. And I think the second stage got a lot better. The first stage, you could tell me tooth and butt about something, and I couldn't tell you. The first stage is always like that for me. Second stage warmed up really good. A lot of beating and banging, dude. I mean, there's a lot of beating and banging there at that short track at Richmond. And I actually want to go to the race at Richmond. I think it'd be something great. I mean, good content for us, maybe for the podcast. Um, for us both to go to the race, but also, I mean, the track's just really good. Truck race was pretty good. Um, it's sad not to see the Xfinity Series, race on that Saturday. Because we could have had Trucks Friday, Xfinity Saturday, and Cup Sunday. But Cup Series was like an 85% race for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it was good, but you know what I mean? It's just kind of hit or miss.
yeah. So going through stage two, you got the strategy going on. Should we go to the reds? Should we stay on yellows? And a lot of teams went yellow all the way through one and two. The start of stage three, I looked at that pylon and it was all red. And Suarez was the only one in the top 10 that went to primes because he was trying to save his other set because he only had two set of reds. And I started thinking, I was watching it, and then all of a sudden they put the yellow check mark next to Austin Dillon, and I'm like, how is he staying in the top five on yellows when Suarez just dropped like a rock? And then they changed it back to red. I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. He's on reds like everyone else.
Yeah, it was crazy. Austin Dillon had a fast enough car the entire weekend. Set fast time in practice, qualified six, and the qualified six to set the field for Sunday's race. But he was like a B. And this is the best example is he was a B. I mean, he was buzzing around for stage one, for stage two, got points. Got points, I think, in both stages, honestly. If I recall right. First stage and second stage got points, and then and went on to win the race. But in a
Controversial fashion.
yeah, in a very like different way than most people expected the three to get the win. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the thing I'm saying about the three is he was fast enough that he had those yellow tires on, the standard tires on, and everybody else had the optional tires on. And he kept up pace. Was he in second place? Was he in fourth place? No. Top 10, top 12 car, with the standards on there at the time of the race. But as soon as they switched to those reds, they came to life. I mean, that car finally came to life. I mean, he battled Joey Logano good, all the way around the track, multiple laps. They really had a great battle that had me on the edge of my seat. Me as a fan of the three, we're both fans of Austin, and all that. But the big thing is how they race each other during that moment was, um, side by side. Teeth, they both were going after the same spot, pinching him down the track. Austin's pinching him up the track. It was great. I loved it. It was a great little battle there between two drivers, trying to take the third and second spot away from each other. But, maybe NASCAR could work on one thing and say, hey, let's try to get those little battles all the way around the speedway. And I guarantee you there were, but it'd be different as you're in there in person rather
Yeah.
than seeing just a 22 and the 3 on the screen. That's all they had their eyes on at the moment was this great battle. Um, but yeah, I think if NASCAR can get more consistent of having, good battles all the way around the track, like I'm saying 10, 12, 15, 25, good laps, good circuits around the track of guys battling, that might give like all these grassroots racers have been commenting on my posts of, you know, of my own stuff that I posted. And, as I say, they have the right to express themselves and stuff like that on my posts. But I think that all these grassroots racers would enjoy NASCAR if we had better races, better racers. I'm just saying better races. I mean, some of these races are junk. I get it, but in battle, like, my gosh, can't talk tonight. In better battles, better. Come on, Jacob, say it. Better, better. I'm falling apart, but better battles around the track, and we could have something great. Like all these grassroots racers that are fans of grassroots racing could be like, oh, I love NASCAR because we're we have great battles and we have great racing. You know,
Yeah. And at one point, you sent me a text saying, screw Logano, which at that point, I completely missed what happened. So,
yeah. Just being the fan of the three and like and now I look back at it, I'm like, heat of the moment, sent you a text, and I was like, God dang it, Logano's in the way. Like, Austin Dillon's running down these people, and he's just in the way, and it gets like that sometimes, you get in the way and you're messing on him up, trying to get in the way and slowing him down. But it was a good battle, I look back
yep.
at it, I'm like, that's a good battle right there. Two guys really going after it, pinching him up the track, as I said, pinching him down the track. Good battle, but in the moment I was like, Mark, get him out of the way. I'm like, he's in the way right now. We're trying to hunt the front, and just one of those deals. As somebody that's passionate about racing, I just text a buddy, let it all out.
So, in my opinion, I think NASCAR has solved the short track package. As long as I know not all the short tracks are the entire compound, um, but the remaining schedule, there's three short tracks left, and they're all similar compounds. So we have Martinsville, Phoenix, and there was another. I think there's another one in there, Bristol. Um, so there's three short tracks left, and they're all in the playoffs. With this, in my opinion, being a successful real test, because it's a real life test. They didn't do a tire test for this compound. I think it was successful, and I say bring these tires in the playoff and see what happens.
Well, I just got one thing to say, and I think that it's gonna be you know it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with these short tracks. You know, uh, we're not talking about that yet, Vince. You're two steps ahead of what we're two steps behind. We're not. We haven't. That's. I was talking about like when the 22 was in the way when the three of them were battling around the track for like 6, 7 laps. But I think
Earlier in
it's yeah
the
before all that stuff went down, Vince. Yeah, yeah, before all that stuff went down. Uh, like when they're having fun battling, and I was like, Mark, he's in the way. But I think that the short track racing is going to be interesting, going forward. We saw this big thing happen this weekend. What other driver could do the same exact thing? And I think this moves into the next point. Is okay. You got to look at it. Austin Dillon was 32nd points. He has to win to get in. This was
yep.
his opportunity. As I said, I'm not kissing butt. I'm not saying sucking up. I'm not saying anything. I'm just giving you straight facts of what I saw this weekend. Am I a fan of the three? Yes, but I put that aside of me right now. Like when I'm on the podcast, well, I set that aside. So he had the fastest lap in practice, correct?
Yep.
He set 6 in qualifying. He has a good car. He qualified 6. What other race have we qualified 6 at this year? Probably not much. Probably not many. If you can remember, good for you. Um, so like he sits, so we have fast time in practice, woo, like good job, practice is just practice. And then we have qualifying. He sets 6 quick in qualifying. And then in the race, he just has a fast car. Like he came from like 12th spot. He came to the 12th spot pretty much. He was running back there almost like 20th at some point in time in the race. Put the optional tires on, was coming to the front. And by the end of the race, and I probably skipped a whole lot of shit, but going through the race, he had a 3-second lead over the best drivers right now in NASCAR. You know what I mean? Like he had a 3-second lead over Denny Hamlin. He had a 3-second lead. He had a 3-second margin. And then the 41 and the 47 both got into this is what I call it. I call it a mango tango. They got into a mango tango and they both spun around, almost collected the 3. The 3 was like right there if something would have happened, stuff like that. So the caution flag comes out, right? So now we go into this NASCAR overtime. So it's green, white, checkered. So now we got to redo this all again. And I was like, for me watching it, I was like, why are they taking tires? If I'm the leader, want track position, but then I forgot, hey, there's only like 13 cars on the lead lap, stuff like that. So like, it's not really going to mess up your day. Depends. But, I just think that the whole weekend was Austin Dillon's race to win. Just by the perseverance in the dedication and determination of these 2 weeks off that they had. The 2 weeks off that they had and coming to Richmond Raceway of fast time in practice, had the fastest time practice, qualified 6, and could do anything with their car, that they wanted to during the weekend. Now they were bottom feeders of the weekend, like ran the bottom lane, and that's where their car was great at. But I'm just saying, Mark, am I not wrong? I'm not getting to the point where we have this whole carnage and the whole situation that everybody's been talking about. I'm just saying that he had the fastest car on the weekend.
Oh yeah, he had the best car of the weekend, no doubt. I mean, before we get into that final turn fiasco, there's 2 people
Mango Tango
that you should be mad at. You shouldn't be mad at Austin Dillon for what he did to win. The 2 people you should be mad at is 1, Ricky Stenhouse for causing that caution and taking a real legitimate win away from Austin. And 2, NASCAR for this whole win and end situation for all these final turn dumps that we're seeing. Those are the 2 people that everyone needs to be mad at. People need to stop getting on Austin Dillon's case for what he did, which, yes, I understand, coming from 4 car lengths back is kind of a shit move. But the way NASCAR has it set for the last 10 years, that's what you got to do to win. I mean, you got to dump somebody in a desperate situation as Austin was in to make the playoffs. And before, there's people out there that are saying, oh, but Austin right hooked Denny Hamlin. No. This is going to be, I'm going to reiterate for all you wrestling fans, Vince McMahon from the Montreal Screwjob, Denny Hamlin screwed Denny Hamlin. I've watched the replay. Not everybody can analyze SMT data. Everyone thinks they're analysts and can break down SMT data. It's if you are not with the teams, you have no idea what you're looking at. I don't even know what I'm looking at. But watching the replay, Austin, if you look at the trajectory of Austin's car. It's taking the fastest way to the start finish line to get that win. Obviously, Denny's taking the natural way coming off. Yeah, they met in the middle. Ooh, wow. Austin's steering wheel turned left 33.5 degrees. Ooh, he had to turn left in order to stay straight, or else he was going into the wall with Denny. So ooh, Denny screwed Denny. Austin had to do what he had to do to get Logano out of the way for the win. That's my take. I'm not happy with that situation. I'm happy that I see Austin win. We all know his wins are few and far between, but like I said, the two people you need to be mad at in this situation is one of them's not Austin. It's NASCAR and Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing too. Like coming from like 4 or 5 car lengths back, I thought was kind of crazy. But you also gotta like put yourself right now. I ask you, everybody in the podcast right now, to put yourself in the shoes of Austin Dillon. You haven't won in 2 years. 2 years. You haven't had a win. 68 races of saying, "Hey, I haven't won anything." And everybody on Facebook goes, Austin Dillon's a silver spoon kid. He's had the whole program handed to him and this and that. And I'm like, since when? I go, what program? I'm like, if we had a program, we would be like Hendrick and winning races and top notch equipment. There's no program that is right now that RCR has. There is no program. Is it a building program? Yes. But is it a program where Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch that have both have good money, have both have good funds for their racing programs for themselves? They can't get a win. They can't scratch the top 5 sometimes. Why? Because it's a building program. And I'm not saying this on behalf of like all RCR and stuff like that. I'm just saying if you're going to call somebody a silver spoon kid, you're going to call Ty Gibbs a silver spoon kid. Jumps in the ride, has grandpa's money, JGR is a good program. That's a silver spoon kid right there. You guys can say all the junk you want about, Austin Dillon and stuff of, silver spoon, this and that, but Ty Gibbs is the definition of a silver spoon if I have ever saw one. But coming back, as I said, 4 to 5 car lengths, junk in the 22, he's right now in that moment as Austin Dillon was running second, he was in 30-second points. 30-second points. As soon as he junks that 22 car, which, you got to do whatever it takes. And that's exactly what, Mark was saying about the point standings and the way NASCAR has it set up now is you can junk somebody, maybe receive a 1 race suspension. That might happen, might not happen. I don't know. But, you can junk somebody, get a win, and get in to the playoffs. And that's how we are right now. If it was me running the show, it'd be like, hey, even if you won, you're not going to get in because you gotta have the points like the olden days where, okay, you finish 5th, you get so many points this race weekend, and get away from this whole win in, get in thing. But I think that Austin Dillon made some people proud and he made a lot of people upset, and that's okay. There's haters, there's people that don't like that, there's people that like it. Did I like that he junked the 22 that way? No. Am I a fan? Yes. But I'm coming here on the podcast and I'm saying I didn't enjoy him wrecking the 22. Did I like and enjoying him getting another win? Yes. Is there going to be karma coming back for the 3? Yes. When you dish something out, you got to take what responsibility and own up to what you did. And that's in everything in life that you do. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say here is that, NASCAR's got to make a change to this, else it's going to become a very awful mess of what's going to come here in the future. And then also, there needs to be a rule on who can be on the pit road when the cars are coming through the pits. And I mean it. I mean it. And this is what I'm going to say, and then I'll let you say what you want to say real fast. But I'm on my little case right now, and I'm saying, and I mean it. I don't care whose kid it is. I don't care who does what. Joey Logano spun his tires, did all that jazz in front of Austin Dillon's family. He had his boy, Ace Dillon there, his baby, his brand new baby, Blaze. They're in the pit road. And Joey Logano goes and pulls that act of, spinning the car. What happens if the car went, opposite way, lost control of the car? There's safety things that need to be discussed and they need to be planned out by NASCAR again, because, and I don't even care. So, like, I'm neutral right now. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that, like, Austin Dillon's kid probably shouldn't have been in the pit road just yet. You know, all kids, all parent, everybody. I don't even care if it's damn crew. Get everybody off the pit road. Let all the cars stop, and then hey, you guys can go out there. But we don't need people in the pit road other than officials and I would say owners, crew members, whatever. That's all that really needs to be out there in pit road. We don't need families. We don't need fans. We don't need spectators. We don't need people on pit road filling pit road up, because when you watch the video, there's people all over the place. Like they're walking into the mall. We don't need people walking around the mall. We need people to say, hey, the mall isn't open yet. And then once all the cars are parked, the mall is open and you can go. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying that just because it's Austin Dillon's kid. I'm saying that because it's everybody's damn safety of going to the racetrack. You don't know what could happen. The car's accelerator could be stuck. And then you got 5 people that are dead because of NASCAR. And that's all I'm saying, is that there needs to be something that goes forward with this.
See, that's on the officials, and I'm with you on that. But the other thing is, if you look where Victory Lane is at Richmond, you have to cross pit road. So that's what the crew and families were doing. They were trying to get to Victory Lane, which at that moment they should not have, and that's on the officials on pit road, because the cars need to come in and park first.
Yeah.
Obviously, safety issue, because it's a hot pit road. Cars are still coming in. Cars are still taking their cool down lap. But yeah, I mean it's just because they switched Victory Lane at Richmond. So
Well, they need to switch it back.
yeah, I agree. And I mean it's the same thing in Michigan. Michigan's on the other side of pit wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Michigan is also a lot bigger than Richmond.
Yeah. But the thing that I'm saying though is like Michigan International Speedway, they have barricades that like have people go from the pits to there. Like if you go like outside of that barricade, you know what I mean? Because you've been there before, VIP. If you go outside of the barricade, you have people yelling at you. So like, where are these people and where is the barricade of them to actually safely get fans, families, crew members? Well, and I'm not saying that to be rude. I could care less about the crew members because they're actually like in uniform and they're working. So they can walk across the pit road all they want to go get, up there in the wall like they showed on TV. But for everybody else, it's not affiliated crew member. Where's the barricades where these people can walk across pit road? And when is that supposed to take place? When the cars are parked, And I'm looking at the comments, and Vince says, but it's okay to have the cameraman get 10 feet away from a burnout, which I agree. Like if I'm OSHA, like how the hell does that happen? Like, did you say, oh, don't do a burnout here kind of thing? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to get all pushy and rambly tonight, but the thing is like, yeah, there should be restriction for that too. You know what I mean? Like there shouldn't be a guy running around if you can't see where the car's at, which I agree with that too. But I guess they could say, you know what I mean? He's professionally trained to do that.
It's
I don't,
not
I
only
don't
he's not inside the smoke. He's outside the smoke, so he can see where the smoke is coming from the tires. You know what I mean? So he's
yeah,
outside of the bubble, so he's okay. He's safe, but you still don't know where that car is pointed. I
yeah,
understand that, but that's why he's still walking. He's not sitting in one spot.
yeah. He
He's
kind of
walking
circles, yeah.
peoples.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that NASCAR has, like a white line and they have a yellow line, and then there's just like, and then there's some like it's strict, like black and black, like you know what I mean? Like you can't get in the middle. Like this is strict. This is how it is. And then we have different things in NASCAR right now where it's like, hey, like this is okay. You know what I mean? And oh, I don't know about that. Wishy washy kind of stuff that they need to fix.
Yeah,
Because it could cause more problems. But anyways, overall, am I happy that Austin won? Yes. Am I
yeah,
disappointed in what happened on the last lap? Yes. And after listening to Denny Hamlin's podcast, I'm just like, man, you cry and complain a whole lot, but you did the same exact thing and shipped so many people. Maybe not the same way. Like we see people that I saw so many comments this week already, about how people are comparing Austin Dillon to Dale Earnhardt Sr. of shipping people out of the way. And Dale Earnhardt Sr., don't get me wrong, he did it different. He didn't come back from like the 4 or 5 car lengths that we saw this past weekend. They got everybody talking. Like that's dirty. And you know, responding to Morgan Baird's comment here live, as a true man would do, talk about what what you should say is, I agree with what Morgan Baird said. It's not racing. That's not racing, but the precedent that they have right now is, and, I hate it. Everybody hates it. You wreck somebody and you cross the line first and you're in, and that's the way it is. And you know what I'm saying? I'm not like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like that. That's the way it is. But, you know, Austin Dillon had to do what he had to do to get in. This was probably his only shot to get in to the playoffs, to make it around, whatever anybody wants to say. But, I'm just tired of these other drivers whine and complain because they've wrecked so many people. I watched the reel last night of Denny Hamlin just booting the 24 out at Martinsville there in the playoff race at Martinsville. That was what, the weekend before they were going to Phoenix?
yep, yep,
Yeah, so I mean, there's other scenarios where drivers have wrecked and dumped other people. Maybe not as bad as what Austin Dillon did this weekend, but they still did the same thing. Am I not wrong? I mean, they did the same exact thing. You took somebody out of contention that was winning the race to win.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
So, but
out of the 4 podcasts that I listened to from this incident, so I listened to the teardown, and I normally side with Jeff Gluck.
yeah,
Jeff Gluck off his rockers this week. It was hard for me to side with Bianchi, but Bianchi had some good points. Listening to DBC, I'm with Brett. Tell me what rule Austin broke. There's no rule against what he did. Tell me what rule he broke, and it is what it is. Like you're saying, should Austin care? No. I mean, what happens from here what are they going to do? Just a monetary fine? It's not going to be anything. They're if they were, it's too late to take the win away. They're not taking it away. They would have took it away Sunday night. Um, I don't know. I I don't see much going against Austin. I see monetary fines, a monetary fine against him. Maybe some points taken away. You know,
What kind of
start.
amount?
I don't know. I
Like,
don't see it past 20,000, 25.
hmm.
Maybe
Vince.
start the playoffs with he doesn't have his five playoff points from the win.
Okay. Vince wants to talk about the audio of the spotter 3.
I'm getting there.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw that or not, so I was just
Yeah,
making sure.
I thought I'm getting there because it's part of what I'm seeing with the fines. I see Joey fined heavily for his actions on pit road because you had Paul Swan's wife and his baby. You had Whitney and the 2 kids, and you had Johnny Morris, the sponsor, all right there, along with several NASCAR officials. So I'm seeing a heavy fine with that. As far as the spotter, uh, that one's gonna be a little spicy. We may not see the normal spotter for maybe a week or two. Um, I don't know. I mean, there really hasn't been any penalties against sponsors. I mean, they or spotters. Um, I mean, Brett said he's told Clint to wreck people. He hasn't been suspended. Um, Freddie, he hasn't really came out and said it. He said, but he's hinted towards it. Never got in trouble. Same with TJ. He's hinted toward it. Never got in trouble. I don't. This may be the first time we see a spotter suspended and fined. But I don't know. I mean, you can clearly hear wreck him once, and then he goes like heck yeah or hell yeah because they're off to the win. But
Yeah. That I mean, we could talk about spotter audio, but that's all I really know. Um I agree with Mark. I mean, the only thing that I heard was like I like hardly could hear him say wreck him. Like I thought he was like cussing or something at first, and I had to like watch it over and over again. And my brother like was sitting downstairs and he goes, "How many times do you have to watch that video?" I was like, "Well," I don't know what he said the first couple times because I was trying to still, process what was going on, and there's not like, and that's the only thing that there's not audio of that, there's not a whole lot of audio of that spotter out unless, some podcasts, eh, got a hold of the audio of somehow, which would be crazy because it's all team related, NASCAR related stuff like secured, all that channels and everybody that has a radio that talks on the radio, it's all secured, like put away. Like nobody has access to any of that unless you're a special person in the sport, right? But I don't know. Like and the hard thing too is like talking about spotter, excuse me. Wow, I cannot speak tonight. The spotter audio is like that's the video that I watched, and that's the video that everybody's been sharing is him, the spotter, being a fanboy um of Austin Dillon crossing the line. And that's the only video that I've ever saw already. Like there's no other video that is leaked or for me to see that can tell me like if the spotter could be fined. And I look for a lot of those things before we start podcasts of could Austin Dillon be fined? Yeah, I agree that he should be fined money wise and strip those 5 playoff points what Mark said. Should the spotter get fined? I can't tell you if the spotter if the spotter is going to get fined by my own viewing because there's only one video of the of the spotter saying something, and I guess you can't really hear the beginning part. So,
Yeah.
but Richard
And
Childress said that he didn't say wreck him, but I can't tell you 100% yes or no. So
he also said you can't believe everything that's on the internet too. So I, I
it
don't
is.
know if Richard actually heard it or not. He says he didn't. Uh, I don't know. Only Richard knows that. Everyone can speculate, but the last thing I want to touch on that is being not being talked about at all. That's getting completely covered up by all this. Martin Truex Jr. blows a motor and does not bring out a caution. So that is four motors from four different teams, all from the same camp that are all teammates within the last, what, 2, 3 months. Because you had Denny blow a motor at Gateway, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ty Gibbs blew the motor at Pocono.
Yep.
Christopher Bell blew the motor. Uh, I can't remember, Nashville. I think it was one of those races where he
Something
had
like
that
that.
because he wrecked out one, and then the next week he blew a motor.
Hmm.
So it was that stretch. Now Martin Truex Jr. blows a motor.
Not going well.
Not going well for Toyota. I mean, luckily, Legacy's been okay, and 2311 has been okay, but that's not to say that it may trickle out to them because they all get their motors and all their stuff from JGR. So is it time to hit the panic button with them, or is there something going on in the engine shop, or what are we doing here?
Yeah. That's that's bizarre because there's not a whole lot of other teams right now that have had engine problems other than, as you said, like
JGR.
JGR. And could, and this is other point is like JGR is so competitive. Could this be a problem that we could see farther down the line of, hey, JGR cars make it in the playoffs? And
Yeah,
how how reliable can you rely on, maybe making a bet, picking a JGR driver in a family friendly atmosphere, or you and I making our picks? Could could we rely on maybe Denny Hamlin, to
yeah,
Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., stuff like that to do well in the playoffs if we're having engine problems and stuff, because that's a scary thing to think about as a JGR driver right now, as the season's coming to an end and, you need that engine. Of
yeah.
course, you can't run it on electricity. We're not hybrid right now. So I think that this weekend, like, they got to get it fixed out. They got to get their bugs fixed on because the JGR cars do good.
Yep, yep. And Truex went from 100 and something points down to 80 something points above the cut line now because he took a huge hit. Maybe more than that. I don't know. I'm not looking at the standings, but he took a huge hit because of that because there was nobody out of the race at that point in time that it happened. Um, Bubba gained a lot of points. I mean, everyone gained a lot of points on Martin. Um,
Especially Austin Dillon.
yeah, well, he kind of
Just making a
leapfrogged.
joke.
Yeah, he kind of leapfrogged him because he's
Well,
well right
he
now.
leapfrog a lot of people,
Well, right
but
now, he's guaranteed in from what we all think. But we have to see what it looks like tomorrow.
yeah,
Um, like I said, 3 races left, 3 spots left. Michigan, Daytona, Darlington. All well, I think I can consider Darlington maybe a wild card, but it's not really because it's a technical track. Um, I think we may we could see three winners just because Michigan and Daytona's wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So is Darlington. I mean,
yeah.
you scrape the
Um,
wall. I mean, you're could be done for the day. Depends.
so if Bubba wants to secure his spot, I want to say the next 2 weeks are his best chance to win an in and not just point in. Because he was good when I met you 2 years ago. He was good at that race. If Kevin Harvick didn't have that good pit stop, Bubba could have won Michigan that year.
Yeah.
He second.
Mm-hmm.
We all know how good of a plate racer he is, or super speedway. Sorry, at Daytona.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, I could put my foot down and I could give somebody $50 and I could say, hey, there's no guy right now that's going to point race their way in. There's no guy that will point race their way in. I don't see somebody point racing their way in this season. I see, three tracks. Everybody has hype, everybody has energy of what happened past this past weekend. Um, you know, you you can do what Austin Dillon did to get in. People see that now. They see that as a bright light for some drivers that, need the hope to make the playoffs, make that cut, and there's three tracks that are just absolute wild cards. We got Michigan, Daytona, Darlington, as Mark said. But those are all good tracks with like Austin Dillon can do good. You know what I mean? Uh, do good in. Depends if he is still running around the track of what everybody's been talking about this past week of bad luck's coming your way kind of thing.
Yeah,
So we'll see what happens. People can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. So we'll see what happens. But I think that we're gonna see three different winners to come, and I
yeah,
think NASCAR right now has got every single person that's involved with sports watching the sport right now. Of what happened this past weekend of Austin Dillon shipping the 22, and getting into the 11, at the line, and people were saying right hook, and it's not a right hook. Um, and I guarantee SMT data, says that we're right. Which we know we kind of are, kind of thing. But I think that, moving forward, you're going to see three different winners.
yeah. And to answer your question, John, no, I don't see the red tires going to the mile and a half because mile and a half have been great. Um, we needed those tires for the short track because the short track has been shit. And I can see them going to the road courses too, to try and help out the road course product.
Hmm.
But I think it would stay road course and short tracks.
So this is a hot take, and I'm gonna actually like sincerely post this on like the Facebook, and I'm telling you, what happens? What happens if the championship race, isn't presented on an oval, isn't presented on a super speedway? What happens if not on a short track? What happens if we had the NASCAR championship race like at a road course? Well, how would that be? I mean, there is nobody that's going to be like, "Hey, you know, this isn't fair," like cuz it would be fair. I mean, everybody I
Well,
think it'd be cool. I mean, just a thought though. I mean, what happens if the championship race was on a road course for once and it's not on an oval?
it would be cool, but then you would have everyone practicing every single road course, and you would at absolutely eliminate road course ringers, as you know they are few and far between right now with as many road courses that are going on the schedule.
What happens if they prohibit, testing on the road course because it's the championship race? What happens if let's say, okay, the race is Watkins Glen, you know, and let's
You
say we can prohibit testing.
you can't ban them. You can't tell someone that they can't go on their own iRacing simulator.
Well, I thought you meant like in real life, like IRL.
Oh no.
Um, but I mean, sim racing is sim racing. Like anybody can sim race at any point in given time. You can test, you can run the tracks in your Chevrolet thing, you can run your thing in the Ford thing, you can do the Toyota sim. But the one thing is, they can do all the same thing. But the one thing that they miss is sims miss about 10 to 15% of what you actually receive in the car. That day, it could be windy, it could have different weather than what this track than what the track is. The track grip could be less, it could be an awful day. You never know. There's unknowns going in every single weekend at a road course. And that's the same thing like when you run on a sim rig like I do sometimes, this season, hopefully running for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola, not Coca-Cola, I keep saying Coca-Cola, the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. I could run the iRacing Series for the college iRacing for school, and I could run on that. It could be like, oh, yeah, I'm doing really good. And then you go hop in a car, and it could be vice versa. So, I mean, it just depends how good your setup and stuff is. But yeah, this weekend was crazy. I'm recapping what I'm saying is Austin Dona had a fast piece the entire weekend, fast in practice, qualified 6th for the race, and unfortunately had to do a mango tango situation of shipping the 22 and then taking the straightest line possible to win the race. And NASCAR right now is like, you you know you basically you have to win to get in. Um, and this was Austin Dillon's opportunity to get this win to get into the playoffs. He took it. No regrets, basically for him. Like, he's not saying sorry to anybody, probably. Moving on, moving forward. But I think that, as again, there needs to be restrictions of people on pit road after the race is concluded. And I think more officials need to be aware of what's going on in the NASCAR industry. And that's all I got. And let's hear Mark's recap here.
That what I said was pretty much, all I'm gonna say is with all this controversy, the only people we need to be mad at is Ricky Stenhouse and NASCAR. Austin should not have all this backlash. Yeah, it was wrong, it was crappy, but he had to do what he had to do to get a win. I can guarantee you, there's at least 5 or 6 other drivers that would have done that, and that would 2 of those would have been the 2 he took out.
Yeah.
Because they've done it their entire careers, whether it was intentional or not. Denny's done it multiple times for majority of his 54 wins. Logano's done it multiple times of his 30 something wins. I mean, you can go back to Darlington 2 years ago, where he drove through William Byron for a win at Darlington. You go back to Pocono. I think it was Pocono last year. Denny Hamlin hooked Larson into the wall for a win. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, we could be sitting here talking about names for a while of
But
different names and stuff, but um
The only thing I have is left is diecast of the week. If you're done with your stuff, I'll go ahead and present that, and we
I
can.
just yeah, we can do that now because I just have some overlays that I can show at the end of the podcast.
So this is one that you would appreciate, Jacob. Um, I had this custom made because it wasn't produced. One of the cars to finish my Dale Earnhardt Jr. Bush Nationwide Xfinity
Let's see
Series,
it. Let's see
and
it.
we were going to Michigan this weekend.
Come on, what about it?
It's
What
at Michigan,
about it, dude? Dude, nice car.
and it's even
Love it.
signed Tony Jr.
Nice. What a car.
And then there you go. There's where is it? Right there is where Carl Edwards hit him coming off pit road.
Oh, dang. That's crazy. I wish I could spend a lot of money like you can on diecast and stuff, but I'm just a broke college student and times are tough, so you know, you just you just do what you can do to get by, and thank God for still being alive, and thank all these race fans need to be appreciative of still having the sport NASCAR around and it's not died out yet. And we need people to continue to support NASCAR. Even if you don't like it or don't mind it, make sure you guys go to NASCAR race. Go to the race. Go to your local state racetrack at Michigan International Speedway, Richmond, even your dirt tracks. Go support them, help them out too. That'd be great. But Mark, yeah, I just wish I could put my hands on some nice die casts, but I can't do that yet. But
No, that Bass Pro Shop car looks pretty good in Victory Lane.
yeah, it does. We got some pictures here of Austin Dillon. Thanks everybody for supporting the podcast. My name's Jacob Rickwalt.
I'm Mark Schisler.
And this is a Racing Paradise podcast. We're going to show you some overlays of Austin Dillon getting the win at Richmond Raceway this past weekend and locking himself into the playoffs for the 2024 season. Here is Austin Dillon out of the car. Good burnout there, and then him and Victory Lane there with the crew. Paul Swan there behind him. And hopefully you guys have a great night. Have a good one, and we'll see you guys all here this upcoming weekend for picks on Thursday. So we'll see you guys. Have a great night. Mark?
Yep, we'll see you Thursday because I almost forgot you have work to do Friday.
Yeah, working for the Menard Series Team Friday. Thanks to Alex Club. If you're listening to this, I appreciate you a lot. And we'll see you guys on the other side. You guys got to get your guys' backside Racing Paradise side on Thursday for the pick for Michigan International Speedway. This is Racing Paradise.